so much has happened too since the last pod. I moved to this house. We're in a brand new house. Right before we closed on it, I lost King, my dog.
My grandmother died. It was quick, unexpected. Yeah. However, what's very interesting is she passes, and the very next month, I meet my wife. Every time there's a death, there's something new coming.
Interesting.
So I'm curious if you've noticed that pattern even in your life recently.
And so yes, I found this girl. We just clicked like this. We're from the same city in Mexico, Guadalajara, and it's almost like we are the same person in many ways and very opposite in many ways.
Okay.
Whoa, baby.
We're here, brother.
We're here, bro. How you been?
Man, I'm happy, dude. I'm alive. I'm grateful, and I'm excited to spend time with you today.
Likewise, bro. It's been a minute.
Yeah, it has.
So much has happened.
Yeah. I'm ready to jump in, and let me ask you this real quick.
Sure.
Okay. And I don't want you to pretend to be humble. What would you say are the 3 characteristics of yourself that you enjoy the most, or that give you your edge?
We went over this, I think, a little bit on a previous episode, but for me, is obsession.
Okay.
Once I lock into what I believe is going to get me what I need or what I want, I keep going even after people have given up. I don't get bored because I'm obsessive about the outcome. I care less about the process.
Yes.
I care about the result.
Yeah.
So whatever it takes to get the result that I'm looking for, and I think that is my edge, because most people like to enjoy themselves.
Yes.
And that is less important to me.
Good.
Yeah. So I care to win, and that is what that's what fulfills me ultimately.
Okay, number 1, obsession. Number 2.
Number 2. Wow, I've never thought of a number 2, but let's see. I think one thing that I've learned over the last few years has been emotional intelligence. I've always been like a hard-headed kind of a guy, bit of an asshole.
Yeah.
The Marine Corps brought that out even more in me. And then I had to learn how to work with different personalities. And you can't do anything without people. And people are very rarely going to do anything for you unless you care and you love them. So learning how to speak to different personalities, how to serve people has allowed me to build a team that can, see the overall mission.
Yes.
And so those 2 things, I think, have helped me find success in what I've done so far.
So number 1, obsession.
Yep.
Like when you do things, you see things through.
Yep.
You're one of the most consistent people
thank you.
that I've met. And I think that's part of the reason why we've maintained a cadence of friendship, relationship over the last year or so. And then emotional intelligence is what you said.
Correct.
The capacity to not only work with people from a logical level, but from an emotional level.
Correct.
And to show love, sympathy, care, respect.
Yeah.
For people's differences and where they are. So that's number 2. What would you say number 3 is?
Wow. A 3rd.
We'll land there.
All right. Let me think about this. I don't want to give you just not a real answer. Let me see. So obsession, emotional intelligence, vision. So I see how the dots connect. Most people don't. And so they become worker bees, and they rely on the person that sees the vision to tell them what they need to do in order to achieve success. I see it, and when I work for someone that also sees it, I tend to bump heads because we see 2 visions. It helped me working for a visionary, and number 1, to see how to, bring that vision to reality.
Yes.
The steps and the sequence to make that happen. That was important for me to learn, but eventually I needed to see my own vision through. I would feel like I was dying inside if I was just living every day to bring someone else's vision to reality.
Yeah, wow.
So, yeah.
I believe that without vision, people
perish. Yeah.
And vision, as you've shared in your story, even before in this pod, has revived your life.
Yeah.
From a state of suicidal, depressed, to hungry and working. So you said working with another visionary. Who would that be?
So for me, it was Pat, working at Valuetainment. He's someone that is constantly looking to build something new, and he dreams and sees far, and that's what kind of drew me to him.
Yeah.
I knew I had a lot missing. I knew I had like glimpses of the same things, but so much missing. I was very green, and I still am, but I feel like much more prepared to be on my own today. But it was a hell of a school, man, working for him for 3 years. I saw the ins and outs, and I moved around that company in so many places, from social media to sales to, leading production and hiring and firing and understanding how to increase revenue, because without revenue, we can't continue to hire and all these things. So, that would be it.
Okay. I didn't know who Patrick Bet David was until about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think one of my mentors was name dropping something from a video of his.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I heard someone else, I think my father-in-law, Patrick Bet David. And I'm like, okay, interesting. Might as well look this guy up. My mentor's into him. And so, and I saw his stuff, and I'm like, okay, man, this guy's really serious. His eyes are popped out and he's telling you about Goliath. And I'm like, okay, wow, this guy seems intense. He's got his stuff together. But also over the last 2 years, from even whenever I first encountered him, because I've never been to any of his events. I've consumed some of his content, haven't read a little bit of his books, but I've seen him increase significantly in public exposure, in the last couple of years. Yeah. Okay. So a lot of people, like, I didn't know what Valuetainment was until I met you, but I knew who Patrick Bet David was.
Right.
Okay. So I'm curious about. You know who he is behind the scenes and before he got this public exposure to the level that he does now, where he's almost a household name.
Right.
So who is Patrick Bet David behind the scenes?
Well, that's a loaded question. So I'll give you a little bit of context too on how I came to know Pat. I was in the Marine Corps, and I've always been into YouTube. I'll probably watch more YouTube than I do like Netflix or TV. And he would interview a lot of very interesting people in the world of, this is how I came to know him. He's interviewed many people in different worlds, but specifically what I came to find interesting was like CIA guys or, Navy SEALs or, what's the name of the guy that helped Nixon get elected? You know what I'm talking about? The guy that always goes like this, and he's got the tattoo of Nixon in his back. Oh man, it escapes me. Anyways, him. And so many super interesting people in that work, because I was in the Marine Corps. And so that was what we were, consuming all the time, just those types of characters. And so when I got out, I saw that he had a podcast, and then I came to know that he was known for business. I didn't know that because I was watching this other stuff. But who is he behind the scenes? He is someone that is constantly on the go, constantly chasing the next thing, and living life in just 5-speed. That guy is going fast, and he expects everyone to keep up. Very few people have that. And so, some people there's places for everyone. So there's people that just, hey, this is kind of where I'm at. There's a place for you. But if you want to be in that inner circle, if you want to be in leadership, you got to be able to keep up. And so that's what I wanted, because I wanted to learn. I was so hungry. And he's someone that challenges you. See, he's someone that I relate a lot to, because he's got similar temperament. He can have a short fuse, and so can I. And he had to learn a lot of the things I had to learn in emotional intelligence and getting people to follow you that maybe don't see things the way you do.
Yes.
Maybe they're a bit more sensitive, a bit more emotional, but it takes a village. You can't, conquer the world on your own. And so I learned a ton. He sent me to a course called Crucial Conversations, because I'm very confrontational, and it was creating a problem within the company. And I wasn't the only one that went there, but, learned a lot there. So who is he behind the scenes? He's someone that's going very quickly, big vision, and it wants to get everybody on board. And he's, some people like to hire the best, right? And the most expensive person for the job. He's the kind of guy that says, I want to hire the most hungry person and I'll teach him. He likes greenies, and so do I. And especially as a small business, I can't afford the most expensive guy or the most talented guy. But if you become a good leader, you can teach as long as you have the willingness and the good attitude, and you have the personality traits that lend themselves to whatever position you're in the company, you can get that guy to do, or girl to do, pretty much anything within that field. So all that resonated with me, and so that's who he is, and that's sort of what I learned while I was there. It was 3 years, but people say Valuetainment years. That's like 10 years. So because we're going. Yeah. We don't stop. I mean, Monday through Sunday, like there's nothing. There's always something going. We're always working, and I feel the same way now. So like my phone rings all the time, and it doesn't matter if it's Saturday, if it's Sunday, if it's 2:00 in the morning. I always answer because I always feel like can't stop. So, yes. But I enjoy it. It doesn't feel like work because it's my vision. It's what I'm building. It's what I'm trying to achieve. So that keeps me motivated. I can see why it could be work for some other people, because if it's not theirs, there's no ownership. There's no reward for all the hard work. So that's, I guess, the incentive on the leader. How can I incentivize you so I attach my success to yours? When I win, you win. And if we can find that, it's very likely that you'll run just as hard as I am.
What are some things that you observed him do as a man and as a leader that you picked up and you're carrying from that experience?
There's a lot of things, but what I think he's very good at, not necessarily what I'm good at, I think he's a master salesperson. He can sell anything to anybody. So that, includes the vision. So he has his vision, and he wants you to be excited about it and be just as committed to, reaching that as he is, because he knows he needs you in order to get there. You need to do your role. That person needs to do theirs in order for the overarching thing to get accomplished. So I'm still working on that, on how to sell it, how to get you excited. I think I'm pretty decent, but he's really good. I mean, you get in a meeting with Patrick and he's doing that, you're going to walk out, running through walls. I mean, there's this thing where they said the meeting after the meeting after the meeting, they would have a meeting, let's say at 7:00, and then it ends at 8. And then there's another meeting with a smaller group of people, that starts at 9. And then it goes all the way till 2:00 in the morning. And by 2:00 in the morning, there's only like 3 guys there. Those are the 3 fired up guys that are willing to do whatever it takes. Yes. So at that point, he knows, okay, these are the guys that I'm going to rely on the most. And so I saw those things, and there's things that I do slightly different. Maybe I have a different approach. My style is different, but the foundation is the same, I would say.
Is there like a conversation or a meeting or something that you saw him do or said to you that shaped you or marked you?
I don't think there was the one meeting. I think it was just the overall experience of seeing him in action. And that's one thing I would recommend to anybody that's trying to do, whether you want to be the guy starting a business or working for someone. If you work for a founder in the field that you want to, build a career in, you're going to learn so much more than if you go to school. Like, I'm not a big proponent of going to college. I think if you just go to a small business with a founder that's fired up and it's hungry and is actually getting a lot accomplished, like you said, like you didn't know who Patrick was 10 years ago, 5 years ago, but you see how fast they're moving. Like, I would try to join and be a part of that growth, and then, stay and help build that, or, get out and build your own thing. But you said if there's one thing, I don't think there's one particular meeting or conversation that we had that kind of shaped everything. I think it's a collection of things.
In context of maybe not something that shaped everything, but something that you just kind of remember, that you're walking away.
Man, making me think about these things.
I'll tell you, like, okay. one of my heroes is John Maxwell.
Yeah.
Right.
He's great.
And he was at his Maxwell conference, and so where everyone that's on his certified coaching team, so I went through his coaching certification process, and so there are a few moments where you get to see him walk and move, and the guy, he's brilliant, he's wise, he gets a ton done, But I think in contrast to Pat, he's very slow.
Yeah.
He'll talk very slow.
Yeah.
And he'll walk very slowly through the crowd. Like he's never in a rush.
Yeah.
And he has everyone hanging on every word.
Yeah.
And the way that he does things is very interesting. He's just kind of like this wise grandpa.
Yeah.
And I remember I'll never forget the moment. So he was getting his hair cut at like, they had like Tony and Guy, what do they call them? Are they cosmetologists? No, that's not
the barber.
Yeah, no, not the barber. They're not barbers. I think it's cosmetologists.
Is it
right?
Okay, I don't know.
In my mind, I think that has something to do with space, but let us know in the comments what it is. So he decided he was going to tip them, right?
Okay.
And so whenever he's getting up, so there's like this space over by, like at the hotel event venue where the Tony and Guy people will get all the speakers ready. And so he's sitting there, and as he's leaving, he pays for the cut, and then he goes to tip them. He goes, "I'm going to give you a tip," and so he pulls out 100, and he puts it in her hand. Then he turns and he pulls out another 100, and he puts it in her hand. And he turns and he pulls out another 100, and he drops it in her hand. And her eyes begin to get wide. And he turns and he pulls out another 100, and puts it in her hand. And he says, "It's been good." And he pulls out another 100, and then her eyes get wider and wider, and tears begin to fill her eyes. And then he says, "Bless you," and he walks away. And that person's just stunned, right? Wow. So that's like one moment that I remember that kind of marked me of John, of like how slow, methodical, and intentional the guy is.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Man, I don't think I have a moment like that where I can say, man, that is something that just marked me. One thing that was very interesting to me was going to so Patrick made his money in life insurance.
Okay.
So he's got a bunch of agents selling life insurance, and they have this big event in Vegas once a year.
That was his first company?
That was his first company.
Okay.
And he sold that for, I think, $250 million or something like that.
Okay.
And
that's how he made his money.
That's how he made his money.
And did, by chance, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Okay. Someone I did know before Patrick Bet David is Ed Mylett.
Correct. They used to work together.
Okay. That was the question.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't see them speaking together at each other's events.
No, I mean,
so they used to work together.
They used to work together.
And did they both start their own insurance?
So I think Ed Mylett owns equity in the company where they used to work together, but don't quote me on it. I don't. I'm guessing.
Okay.
But I don't know much about Ed. But I do know that they used to work together. So the reason Pat left that company was he's talked about this, so this is why I feel comfortable speaking about it. But he had a bunch of ideas. So very much like I told you, one of the things that I think gives me an edge is seeing the vision, how the dots connect. And so, that can become frustrating once, you find that your vision doesn't align with the vision of the company you work for. So he had an idea to, recruit people to sell life insurance from a different demographic. For many, many years, it used to be older white men doing this. And so that's who they were recruiting. And he said, what if we go after minorities, after Hispanic women specifically? And everybody brushed him off. That's not what we do. This is the template, the format, and this is what works. And he was very persistent. He met with the leadership at that company, and I don't remember what the company's called again. I'm not like super privy to that. Like it's not something that I know a lot about. But he's told his story, so this is what I do know. So they said no. He talked to them for a year. He was thinking about leaving, and he finally made that decision because he felt like the leadership was a bit complacent. They weren't as hungry as he was to achieve success, and he knew that as long as he was there, he would never get to where he really wanted to be personally. So he straight up told them, "You either, find a way to work with me, or I go out and become a direct competitor because I'm hungry. You may have lost your passion for this, but I am starving for this. Like, I love what I do. And so they said, yeah, you're right. I mean, I kind of lost it, and, we're doing really well. I mean, a lot of people, once they make hundreds of millions of dollars, they just don't have that drive anymore. And I mean, he hadn't gotten to that point. He hadn't made all that money. And even now that he has made it, he still hasn't, lost that drive. So that was a big reason why he left. And, he built this thing from scratch. He had $500,000 saved, and he put it into this company. He, had a bunch of people that followed him and wanted to continue to work for him. And so he's got this big payroll, this big responsibility, people that are, that he sold the vision to. And now he feels responsible because he can't land any contracts. And he's like, these people won't be able to get paid. But they don't know this. This is all, he's getting anxiety attacks at night. He talks about this. And, at the last minute, midnight hour, he closes a deal with an insurance carrier, and now they have something to sell. So now they have insurance policies they can start selling, and that jumpstarts the company. He started this in 2009, right after the recession. So, a very, challenging time to start a business, but it worked out. So that was the Ed Mylett thing. What was the thing you asked before, Ed Mylett?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
I remember, but I was curious because
how he made his money.
How he made his money, and then I was curious about if they did come from the same spot.
Yeah. No, for sure. So you said a moment. So when I went to the event in Vegas with his own company that he started from scratch, I came to Valuetainment in 2020. So that is called PHP. PHP was already mature and making tons of money. Valuetainment was PHP, the life insurance company. Okay. Valuetainment was still a baby. It probably wasn't even making money. He was, spending his own money to just keep it alive. It wasn't generating revenue, and he wasn't trying to generate revenue. It all started with, I'm going to make videos for my sales force. So I'm going to talk about how to, talk to a prospect, how to sell different styles, just different things that his team needed to hear from him on how to train. So they were just unlisted. Then they said, you should make these public. These are very good videos. He does. A lot of people start liking these videos. So he starts making more. Then he starts getting interested in other people. So he does the interviews. So that's how that happened. As far as the moment, back to that, I'm in Vegas and there's like 10,000 people at the MGM Grand. And I see him in his element for the first time. I've seen him in videos. I've seen him interview people, but it was not as impressive as seeing him talk to 10,000 people and everybody fired up like he's like Will Smith or Michael Jackson. I don't know. It's just like he commands that room and people are going crazy for him. And to see people in the organization that also make millions of dollars resemble his mannerisms, the way he speaks, it's like, that was super interesting to me. Like when you're a leader at the level where people even talk like you, move like you, act like you, that was impressive.
Yes.
Like how do you do that? You can't force that to happen. Right. You almost have to. You definitely have to earn it. You know, and I don't even know if they do it on purpose. So
if the person that's replicating it is doing it on purpose,
well, you can't force someone to act like you on purpose. Like you can't force it. Like duplication happens naturally. You can't fake that. So when you see that duplication happening with tens of thousands of people, that was impressive to me. I was like, holy shit, this guy can duplicate like no other person I've ever seen. Like I've been around a lot of leaders, but I've never seen leaders duplicate themselves at that level. So that was impressive. So that, going back to your, what moment kind of struck you, that probably was one of them.
Wild.
Yeah, man.
And here you are now.
And here we are. Yeah, bro. And so much has happened too since the last pod.
Yeah. And
so, but yeah, man, taking these lessons and going and another thing that, I learned while I was at Valuetainment, so I moved from Orlando to Dallas and we kind of talked about this. I knew they were going to go to Florida, but I didn't care. Went to Dallas to work for Pat, knowing that I was going to move back to Florida in 6 months. While we were there, right before we go to Florida, him and his wife, they had 3 kids. They weren't planning on having more, and it just happened that, she got pregnant again, right? And he's super happy. He's always wanted a bunch of kids, but they had already come to the conclusion that, we're just going to stop at this one. And so he's super excited. they're twins. So now, he's getting twins. And the whole process of us moving to Florida and her being pregnant during COVID, one of the babies doesn't make it. So they have a miscarriage. The guy had COVID, lost a baby, didn't miss a call, didn't miss a meeting, didn't miss a beat. And he just kept going at 5 speed. And so I saw that, and I thought I had work ethic coming from the Marine Corps because we work hard, but we don't work that fast. And if you know the government is slow. And so when I saw the work ethic combined with the speed, where there's no excuses, no matter what, we just keep go, that was another lesson that I kind of put in my pocket. So, as we, from this podcast to the last one we had, I moved to this house. We're in a brand new house. And right before we closed on it, I lost King, my dog, the one that we talked about in the previous episode. Super special to me. These 2 dogs, him and Apollo died about 2 years ago of cancer. And it was very difficult because, these guys are, the reason I'm still alive, almost, ended my life. But they were the ones that I couldn't see myself doing it and leaving them in the room in the apartment complex where I was without me. And so Apollo passed away about 2 years ago. And then right before I closed on this house, King he can't move. And I take him to the vet. And it was just like flashbacks, the same thing. He gets an x-ray. He's got cancer too, bro. I don't know what is it about cancer, bro, and why everyone has it these days, from dogs to people. I don't understand it. So many of my friends have family members that are getting cancer right now, and it's just insane to me.
Yeah.
But
even guys straight out of college are getting cancer.
Yeah.
Like on a regular basis. Talk to my neighbor who works for Lockheed, early 20s, and he's talking about multiple friends in his 20s and that are dead of cancer.
I don't know if it's the food, if it's the signals from all the electron. I don't know what it is, bro. But this used to not be like this. Right. I don't think.
No.
So I don't know what it is, but yeah, bro. So it just hit me like a ton of bricks, and I had to put him down. It was very difficult. I took it a lot better than when Apollo passed. And so it's like something so terrible is happening, and then I'm about to close, which is super exciting. Dude, this house is like way bigger. You've been to the other house, and the other one has a bigger yard. And my thing was, I can't wait for King to run in this backyard and to get to see this house. He never got to see it. And so I was just so sad, bro. So put him down. Then like a day after, I go to the dog shelter, and I'm like, I'm going to get another dog so that Kobe's not sad. Kobe is the dog that Patrick gave me when I worked at Valuetainment, another pit bull. So he's really young, but I didn't want him to be alone. So I went there, found this beautiful pit bull, named him Tank. He was so sweet. But long story short, bro, my sister comes over to see me and to see the house and brings her dog. She also has a pit bull. And they start fighting, bro. Tank and her dog. And because Kobe's high anxiety, so his high anxiety triggered aggression. And Tank bites my sister's dog. His name is Pablo. My sister tries to separate him. My sister is like super short, tiny, petite, tiny hands. Puts her hands in there. Her finger's broken, is like pointing the other way. And she's freaking out. She's like, take me to the hospital right now. And I'm trying to separate the dogs at the same time. So I grab Tank and I choke him until he lets go. And then I thought I killed him because he just lays flat on the ground. And I'm like, bro, you can't do this to me right now. And then he, gets back up. And I'm like, oh, thank God. And so I put Kobe in the garage because Kobe was who had the anxiety to begin with. And Tank and Pablo were getting along initially, so I think they're okay. And then Tank wakes up and then fights again. So I separate them again, take my sister to the hospital, get her finger looked at, and then I take the dogs to the animal hospital as well. And that was the whole thing. That happened on a Saturday. And then the next morning, that night, my dogs are getting along just like they were before. They slept on the bed, they were cuddling, they were just fine. The next morning, I go into my office, and they're just hanging out in the living room. and I hear them fight again, dude. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So this hand was like all bit up, but no real damage outside of just, you know, the bite marks, because I was opening their jaws so they can let go of each other. And so on Sunday, when they fight the second time, my hand is not in good shape. So I'm having to use my left one more than anything else. And this fight was way more vicious, dude. Blood all over the living room. It looked like a murder scene. And it took me about 10 minutes, bro. I almost think, I thought Kobe was going to die. And finally separate them. And I had to call 911. Cops show up. They're like, what happened? And, you know, animal services show up, and I take, you know, them to the hospital. I call my sister, and she comes with my brother-in-law. And so we take them in different cars. And so.
And your sister has broken fingers?
And she already has a broken finger. So, but I mean, by the time she came, they were separated. She just comes to see all the blood everywhere. And like in the living room, it's like white walls, white floor. So the blood just looks more impressive. And so we go, they're fine, thank God. And I keep them separate for a couple of days until I had to take Tank back to the animal shelter I got him from. I did a bunch of research. Turns out it's the best animal shelter in Texas, and it's a no-kill shelter. That was my concern. So I finally take him back. It sucked, bro, because he was so sweet. He was great with people.
Yeah.
It was just that once that happened, it wouldn't, like, once that line gets crossed, it'll happen again, and I couldn't risk Kobe's life. So I took him back. It was so sad. And then, you know, Kobe's been recovering, but he's bounced back. You saw him, like, he was jumping and being his normal self. But yeah, so all that happened, dude. And, you know, I had to, you know, have the house repainted, and we just moved in, and I got to get it painted again because everything's like full of blood. But yeah, dude, that's just a little bit of what's taking place. But the bigger story is going back, what did Trump call it when he comes back to the point that he was making in the beginning? He had a term for it. People were making fun of him. I forget the term. Anyways, but going back to Pat, when, you know, he lost the baby and he had COVID and we were moving to Florida, he didn't skip a beat. And so I felt like, dude, there's no time to be sad. There's no time to cry. There's no time to feel sorry for myself. It sucks. It does. But we got to keep moving, and we got to keep moving. And so we did. We lost $10,000 retainer. We made another $10,000 retainer back and a few other ones. And so, you know, things have been going, and we've been just moving forward and not taking a break. And I think it's been good. I feel great. You know, I found wifey, found a great girl, you know, and so been single for quite a while and looking to find the one. Yeah. And so I found her.
That's interesting. Yeah. You know, I'm under the belief that, I'll share my belief in just a minute, but I remember, I'll never forget when my grandmother died. It was quick, unexpected. And when she died, we were very close. Would see her multiple times a year growing up. Yeah. And when she did pass, it was pretty hard for our family. It was our first, you know, my first grandparent to pass, and there's been more since then. However, what's very interesting is she passes, and the very next month I meet my wife. And since then I've been acknowledging this pattern in life. Every time there's a death, there's something new coming.
Interesting.
I'm curious because oftentimes in life, you know, we only have a capacity for so much. Yeah. And if we have to sometimes let go of the good thing to be able to have the capacity to hold the great thing. Yeah. So I'm curious if you've noticed that pattern even in your life recently.
Recently, for sure. In the past, I don't. If I have, I haven't noticed it. But yes, these last few months to me have been full of terrible things and amazing things all at once. Yes. So it's been like, it's been so much that I didn't even know how to feel. It's like, what happens when something really sad happens and also something very exciting, very, very happy happens, you know? So it's like, what am I supposed to feel here? So it's made me a bit more, I guess, I don't like numb, more logical. It's the only way I could describe it.
It's made you more logical?
More logical, less emotional. So I don't feel super happy or super sad.
Okay.
I feel content. I feel like I'm in a good place. You know, I'm not like jumping up and down, and I'm not down in the dumps like I was when I got out of the Marine Corps and I adopted King and Apollo, or when, you know, I lost Apollo. I'm a bit more like just, you know, steady. And I notice what's happening logically, and I'm like, oh, wow, that's interesting. This is awesome. But since it's happening all at once, I think if something very sad happened, and that's the only thing that took place for a while, it probably would make me feel sad. But when it's mixed with other very good things,
Yes.
it does something weird to your emotional state. At least it has for me. But it's interesting what you say, that sometimes when you lose something, something else comes.
Yes.
And so I'll pay close attention to that moving forward. But yeah, man, I mean, King meant so much to me. We got, you know, there's a bookcase when you walk in the house with a bunch of books and article, you know, things that I've gotten from overseas as I've traveled. And when I got Apollo's ashes from when I lost him, and I got King's ashes. And I mean, very, very important dogs to me. But yeah, I mean, and so yes, I you know, found this girl. We just clicked like this. We're from the same city in Mexico, Guadalajara, and it's almost like we are the same person in many ways and very opposite in many ways.
Okay.
And it just, everything started clicking and going very, very fast. And so she was what I was looking for.
Okay.
And you know, according to her, I'm what she was looking for as well. So
Okay.
yeah.
So I recall one time we're lifting weights.
Yeah.
We're lifting weights, and you're like, man, there's nothing out here.
Yeah.
She's either to this or to this
Yeah.
or to this.
I'm picky, bro.
And so then I was like, okay, well, what is it that you want?
Yeah.
And so you a little bit later, you articulated for me kind of a vision
Yes.
of the sort of woman that you're looking for.
Yeah.
You kind of took the swirling pieces in your head and you kind of made it a little bit tangible.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that you were telling me that what gives you your edge is you're a man of vision.
Yeah.
And so when you saw her, you were able to identify her because you were clear on your
Vision.
yeah.
No, for sure. And I saw what it could be. And I'm also very not risk averse. So once I see something and I see the vision, I take the risk. I guess that could be another edge of mine. Maybe I'm too dumb.
Okay.
I think sometimes smart people get in their own way. When I see the vision, I'm like, you know, maybe a smart person can tell me like a million ways in which this can go wrong.
Yes.
I don't see that, dude. I just see the path. And when I see a clear path, I take it. I bought the house in Fort Worth without having seen it in person. I saw pictures and videos, and I just said yes, signed the contract, and saw it for the first time once it was already, you know, once I already had closed. And so, you know, I quit my job before I had a client. I knew what I wanted to do, and I just saw a path, and I took it, and it worked out. Very risky. Not something I would recommend to just anybody, but I have. I think the logical side of my brain sees how this can, you know, connect and work together, and also like intuition and instinct from past experiences on what does well and what doesn't. But yeah, man, it's you know, to a lot of people it could be like, dude, this is so fast. You know, are you sure? And I'm very picky, like you said, and I've said no to a lot of them, and but this one I was like, this is different, and this is exactly what I was looking for. And so here we are. So, you know, she's here. She's moved in.
Have you ever picked that list back up and cross-referenced it and see
how close? I did.
How close is it?
Is
it surprisingly close?
It's very, very, very close. Yes.
You know what's crazy is my wife, like before, like she had just gone through this crazy breakup.
Yeah.
And she's I think her dad or someone said, well, write down what you want.
Yeah.
So she goes and writes down these 10 things that she wants. You know, some things are vain. She wants someone to be in good health, jacked, taller than her, you know, certain things like that, decent teeth, doesn't care about sports. And then she's like, she all of these things. And And she reads it to her dad. And then after she reads it, she's like, I'll never find a guy like this. She crumbles it up, throws it away, and we meet just a few months later. And I don't give a rip about sports.
Yeah. So one of the funny things about us, if you know me, you know that I love lifting weights. I'm a carnivore. I love meat. She's vegan.
Wow.
So way different. You know, if you know me, you know I don't like dancing and I don't like drinking.
Yeah.
She loves dancing.
But that's
and
the
she
polarity, bro.
That is
Which is what we need.
Correct. I'm an introvert. She's an extrovert. You know? So
yes.
But everything else, you know, we're on the same page.
Right.
Yeah.
When it comes to, like, I work with a lot of marriages for executives, entrepreneurs. And so the way that it works is we sync in with our value system.
Yeah.
And then we emphasize and celebrate our polarity and differences.
Correct. Yeah.
Like that's the way it stays spicy, lively, and you work together as a team instead of trying to make you more masculine and she's trying to make you more feminine.
Right.
Then you end up as resentful roommates.
Exactly. That was one of the big things that I needed to make sure we were on the same page with, which is the gender roles and stuff like that. And so we see eye to eye on all that. And
bro, should we talk about that now or wait for the next pod?
I don't know how long. Maybe wait for the next one because we're coming up to the end of this one. But that's a great topic.
Okay,
for the next one.
Let's jump in there.
Yes,
masculine, feminine polarity.
Absolutely.
Before we close this, I'll tell you number one issue. Meet with a lot of couples.
Yeah.
Number one issue is that I see is women being forced into a masculine role.
Yeah.
And then men being forced into a feminine role, and then the polarity goes away, the relationship dies.
Yeah.
There's cheating, resentment, and it's a cultural plague.
It is.
So maybe we talk about that in the next pod.
I like it.
Okay.
All right, brother. Well, it was great talking to you, man. And so we'll wrap this one up.
Great.
Talk about this on the next. And I'm excited, bro. This is going to be an awesome, I guess, new season 2 of Grit.
Yeah.
But yeah, man.
Let the fun continue. Let the adventure continue. And we'll have some fun.
Heck yeah, bro.
All right, we did it.
Heck yes. Thank you for coming.
If you enjoyed this episode, click here to watch another episode or click here to watch a clip from the podcast.
And where down we go, go, go.